we can continue to grow knowledge, culture, and in a physical economy, power it with solar energy. Once we construct this infrastructure, which is doable, because even the technologies now have a high ratio of the energy you get out to the energy you have to put in. And the energy you have to put in is fossil fuel, and the fossil fuel of choice before you complete this creation of a global solar infrastructure is petroleum, not coal. So, yes, let's eventually keep the petroleum in the ground and leave it there. But we need to use the best source of petroleum, arguably natural gas if we can prevent its leakage to the atmosphere, because it has the lowest CO2 emission per energy generated, to construct the solar infrastructure. Every stage of human history, how much do I have time? Okay, every stage has been parasitic on the previous. The Industrial Revolution with fossil fuel was parasitic on low efficiency solar energy. And until enough coal was mined to provide energy to mine more coal and power society. So now we're at the second stage where we are going from fossil fuel to high efficiency solar energy. So I'll conclude with, you can email me with, for links to the papers. Max Schwartzman was my late father, and he used to say, you know, only communists and dogs get up early in the morning. He neglected to mention sanitation workers and janitors and so forth. But I like this quote from Banksy. Thank you. That's the end of my talk.
Oh, you want to move those?
Okay,
Thank you, David. Next, we have Jane Zara from the DC Metro Science for the People, talking about the effects of corporate personhood.
Right. Hi. I consider myself a worker. I noticed this is the first time I've ever been to this conference, and I found that what I noticed, a lot of speakers are academicians, which I think is good, but
Please talk louder.
I consider myself a worker. I work at the Patent and Trademark Office. I'm not here to represent that institution, but as a worker, and I've been a scientist. I have a degree in science and a degree in law, so I've sort of observed, been in basic research over the years, and sort of observed processes that have gone on around me. In this conference, David said it would be a good idea if I participated. This conference has allowed me to sort of analyze what has gone on around me, so I want to share that with you, okay? What are the effects of corporate personhood and rampant privatization of scientific research?
You have to talk louder, please.
Okay.
And if you want to go back to yeah.
Okay, so to apply Marx, I can't really read this.
Can you read this?
All right, I just, there are a few people that I've relied on for my analysis and sitting through the information. So what I want to do is show that with the rise of corporate personhood to the dimensions that it's now assumed as a major vehicle for capitalism to take hold internationally and nationally, why Marx applies to that, and then to look at one of the vehicles, intellectual property, as a really vicious vehicle that the corporate person is using to amass wealth and basically control the world's resources. I know it sounds cliched, but I feel that if we review the recent history of how this has happened, we could possibly unravel it. And the two things that come out to me in our group, which is devoted to trying to enhance science literacy in our community on levels that the community would like and the community invites us to, a sort of bottom-up approach. We feel the need to enhance science literacy so that people can join the debate again, and we can increase the complexity of the debate rather than being handed shovels of propaganda by the corporations. So and have the public provide a critical analysis. So I'm providing some examples of how the public has been marginalized from the debates, and a proper vehicle for this, so I know it's been studied by a lot of people, is the agro-biotech industry, because they basically, this will involve how to look at that as a metaphor and as a vehicle for the way corporations have usurped national and international vehicles, or maybe they even devised the international vehicles to keep their power in place, as well as how the debate in science and issues have sort of been usurped by private entities, the withering away of academic freedom, the marginalization of people who want to step outside of the GMO. I mean, a lot of you are probably more aware of these things than I have, but I've just sort of come to learn the pattern, so I want to share that briefly. Okay, so historically the corporation stands at the head of capitalism. This is by Martinat, who gave a lecture at the Marxist Library lecture in Legal Proctor in 2007. Basically, it made sense to me. The corporation stands at the head of capitalism as one of the first modes of organization. This places it alongside colonization, monopoly, and slavery as essential aspects of the dawn of capitalist development, i.e. primitive accumulation. The purpose of incorporation is to avoid or evade liability and responsibility for the effects the corporate institution has on the outside world. That is, it valorizes the dispensing of ethics as fundamental social norm, or it renders ethical a sense of irresponsibility toward others outside one's group. So we see how it sets the ethical climate as well, okay? As well as doing what it does, gaining profits for shareholders at the expense of everything and everybody in its path. Okay, so why classic Marxism, right? Why an economic analysis? Marxism gives us a unique insight into the ideological functions law in relation to corporate legal liability. There's no liability, right? If we have a death penalty, why can't we kill corporate persons? Why can't we behead the corporate charter in the middle of town? Why can't, who was responsible for Bhopal, for the Bhopal disaster? Why can't Union Carbide be publicly executed in the town square? I mean, it would sort of, you know, be a nice metaphor for everyone, right? Okay, so the corporation is one of capitalism's superstructure, having repressive and ideological mechanisms which emerge in order to maintain the dominant mode of production. So you all know. Next. Okay. All right. So I relied on a few authors, and I'm because they unraveled how these effects have happened on corporations using biotech industry. So I rely heavily on them. They're cited here. It's Noah Zerbe and Stephen McGiffin. Okay. So oops, what was that? Okay. So internationally,
Go back.
Okay, internationally. So there's two instruments that come to mind. TRIPS, and these books were published in 2005. So TRIPS and the Convention on Biological Diversity. So this is how things are divided up in the world. TRIPS is more like an unlimited property right. It guarantees intellectual property rights for corporations around the world. So it's a trade agreement. I'm sure it's been modified and bastardized and perfected over the years since 2005, but basically it allows for the implementation of basically U.S. and multinational corporate property rights, right? Private property rights on patents, the enforcement of patents to countries who want to join trade agreements. So if you want access to our market, you have to respect our patents. So it puts things like compulsory licensing at a minimum. It defines what constitutes a national emergency, and that's where the struggle is, because compulsory licensing, while it was part of sort of the mainstream culture because of the Clean Air Act in this country, has atrophied. In Canada, it's gone. There's been a conversion of the pharmaceutical industry from compulsory licensing to privatization. You see it happening all around you. And we got to elevate, we got to reinstitute the debate for compulsory licensing. If we have solar technology coming, it shouldn't be monopolized by corporations. It should be compulsory licensed. That technology should go back to the people. And we fund it through our taxes, so we should demand that we have access to it. And the same with pharmaceuticals, but you guys already know that today. So that's TRIPS. The Convention on Biological Diversity basically came up, I guess I'm an engineer, I'm not so familiar with the history, but it attempts to commodify biodiversity to protect it, okay? So corporations want, you know, when you talk about patenting, you do evoke from people this visceral response, which is, people try to patent seeds in poor countries. They try to take over their resources. And basically, capitalism has been doing this. It's been making Southern Africa, Western Africa, a place where we extract resources and use them to amass our wealth. The infrastructures there have been the exodus of resources for the benefit of the colonizers, right? I mean, we all know that story.